Okay, I hereby call our City Council meeting to order for February 23rd. If everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, Linda, roll call.
Councilmember Bauman. Here. Councilmember Connolly.
Here.
Councilmember Rife.
Present.
Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you very much. Do we have any reordering of the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Alrighty, moving on to public comments then. I don't have any speaker slips. If anybody would like to speak on any subject pertaining to city business, including agenda items, I do have one for a later agenda item. Now's the time to turn it in. Okay, no public comment? Okay, I'm closing public comment then. Moving on to the consent calendar. We have the minutes of February 9th, 2017 regular City Council meeting. List of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2016-17, and revenue and expenditure report through January 31st, 2017. Any questions for staff? Any motions?
Move for approval of items 1 through 3. Madam Mayor?
Second.
Alrighty, Linda?
Okay, Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Bauman.
Aye.
Councilmember Rife.
Aye.
And Mayor Andrusik. Or I'm sorry, Mayor Sierra.
Aye, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Alrighty.
Aye.
Presentations? Any presentations
No,
tonight?
ma'am.
Okay, we move on to public hearing number 4, ordinance number 17-03, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, under Government Code Section 65858A, extending the moratorium on non-medical marijuana facilities and marijuana cultivation, except for private indoor cultivation of 6 marijuana plants or less, which shall be subject to reasonable regulations. Our attorney is via phone tonight. Mr. McEwen, if you could take it from here.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mayor. What we're bringing to you tonight is just an extension of the moratorium that you enacted on January 12th. That was a 45-day moratorium. This extension, it will be for 10 months and 15 days, which will carry it out to the 1-year mark. And the purpose of the ordinance is to give the city a little more time to get a handle on what's happening with regard to marijuana businesses under Proposition 64. I think that taking time makes sense, given that there's still a lot of unresolved issues. As I think mentioned at the last meeting, there are even a couple of cases that have already been filed, lawsuits that have been filed against cities over what would amount to, or what would constitute a reasonable regulation of private cultivation. And as of this afternoon, we saw some statements coming out of the new presidential administration indicating that there may, in fact, be some type of crackdown on recreational marijuana in the 8 states that allow it. So I think at this point, given those factors, it makes sense to take the extra time to continue studying the issue and then to see how these other developments play out. And we bring this issue back to the council at some point once we've got a handle on the various issues. We would then bring it back to council for direction on what they'd like to do. But at this point, this extension simply would carry the moratorium forward as we're allowed to do under the government code to January of 2018.
All righty, any questions for Mr. McEwen?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for public. Our public hearings I don't have any speaker slips for agenda item number 4. Okay, I'm closing public hearing, bringing it back to City Council for action.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
I would second.
all righty. Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Rife.
Aye.
And Councilmember Bauman.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much, Steve.
You're welcome.
Moving on to council member comments, items. Does anybody have any comment or an item they'd like to bring back for further discussion? Vice Mayor?
I just have a comment about the state of the city. I think you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And Mark did a wonderful job. We had a good attendance, and I think we should all be proud of it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
It was very well attended.
Very well attended.
I just had one comment. I needed to clarify something. I had a resident come up to me after our last meeting, and I guess when we were discussing the RV ordinance, a lot of people, at least this resident, was under the understanding that it was basically one resident who was unhappy with the ordinance and that we were taking action because of this one resident. And I just wanted to clarify that we've all received a bunch of emails with pros and cons. I've had people stop me at the market. I've had people call me up. And it was not something that one person created the action. It was a lot of thought and talking to a bunch of residents in town. And I just wanted to clarify that because she was under the understanding that we had moved forward because of one person. So,
An excellent point. Same, a lot of comments, both sides for me, too.
yeah. All righty. Thank you. Do we have any written communications?
No, ma'am.
Committee reports? Any committee reports?
And again, I think I announced last meeting we would not be having a meeting today. CCWA held true with that. They did not have a meeting.
And Madam Mayor, I just want to remind everybody that March 3rd, Friday, week from tomorrow, the new pool arrives in 3 different gigantic containers. It will be dropped off at the mission and receive a blessing promptly. Yes. And it's going to be a big event. Be a lot of guest speakers there as well. And we hope to see as many of us as we can possibly there as well. It's a pretty exciting deal. It's going to be again, a 50-meter pool with a 5-lane pool. So we're going from the absolute worst pool in the county to the absolute best.
Amen.
So,
And what time is this on March 3rd?
3 o'clock on Friday.
3 o'clock.
However, I was informed by Mr. Porter
Yes.
to be around the freeway exit on 246 because the pools will be coming up
Yes.
onto the 246 from 101.
So we can follow them
Wave
to
it
the
on.
mission. We can
Yes.
follow them to the mission
Yes.
from there, huh?
Over here. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they're electing not to take the pass on that day.
Good call.
Smart choice. Smart choice. SBCAG met last Thursday, and what I'm hoping helps Buellton, they are replacing all the exit signage on the freeways and highways, and I reminded them that we have one exit sign that's misspelled with Avenue of the Flags and not Avenue of Flags, and that I was truly hoping that the replacement would be correct. So, all righty. Moving on to business items, agenda item number 5, discussion regarding the No U left turn sign at Avenue of Flags, Zaca Street. Ms. Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Member City Council. So at the request of council, we're bringing up the current signage and striping plan for Avenue of Flags at Zaca Creek. Attachment 1 is provided for you in the packet for this discussion. You'll see directly in the staff report I have a street shot of southbound Avenue Flags with the little circle in the center about the with the restriction for no left and no U-turn. When we restriped the avenue, we were looking at all the signage along the streets to make sure it's conforming and per safety regulations for all the traffic movements. No U and left turns are restricted on this particular location due to safety concerns. We have them listed out. There's a high potential for conflicting turning movements between the 2 southbound lanes, the commercial parking exit, which is on the west side, immediately east there, and Zaca Creek. And on the northbound, there is also a left turn pocket. In order to have a safe harbor, if we were to permit those type of movements, you would need a dedicated turn lane in the southbound direction, and we don't have room to accommodate that with the current median configurations. There's not enough stacking between the medians, similar to on the north side of Avenue Flags, where we've got the wide medians, so that provides another 75 feet for vehicles to stack and queue. So we don't have a safe area to permit those type of movements in this location. So installation of the prohibitive signage is a necessary safety measure to help reduce crashes, their severity, and improve the traffic flow and reduce congestion and delay by limiting the number of conflict points at that intersection. The permitted movement, of course, is to go down further south, approximately 450 feet, where we do have a turn pocket, and left turns and U-turns can be made at that location to come back up towards Avenue of Flags at that point. So with that, if you'd like to discuss the safety requirements for the intersection, I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, are there any questions from council?
For Rose, you say the intersection. Now, is the intersection the turn point? That's what the intersection is. That's
Zaca Creek and
yes.
and Avenue of
That's the-
Flags.
when you say the intersection,
That's the intersection,
that's what you're
correct.
talking about.
I had a question. Before the sign was put up, it was still an illegal left turn, U-turn, and my understanding is that tickets were still being given out even before the sign was put up. Is that correct?
I believe so. I didn't verify with the sheriff's departments if there were tickets or how many there had been given in the past. I wasn't able to do full research on the whole history of that intersection. And I believe at some point in the past there was signs up at that intersection. I don't recall. I don't have specific documentation, but we had signs run over for a period of times as well.
I know my wife had faulted at it, and the issuing officer did not give her a citation, but she'd explained how.
Stopped her and explained.
Right, and she honestly did not know,
Yeah.
and so it certainly sounds like she doesn't get tickets, so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
I think one last one. When I had a couple of folks that live in that corridor there. They don't recall. Did we ever have a public hearing on this before it happened?
For
They
the
thought
signage?
it just showed up.
We don't need to put a public hearing for safety improvements such as that. And this is part of the road striping project for Avenue Flags, which we've held multiple public meetings on and had that approved at the council.
And then, just to be clear, because the conversation was then they go up and make the same sort of a U-turn at the very next intersection.
And that's permitted.
That's okay.
That's correct. We have a turn lane dedicated for that at that location. Right.
Right.
Okay. No other questions, and I'm going to open it up for a public hearing. I have one speaker slip. I imagine there's another one coming in, perhaps? Yeah? Okay. Stan Mathiasen, step on up and have your say.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to address this issue. I am a longtime local resident, and just as a side note, when I was a little boy, I swam in that pool. So I know it's been around a long time. Listening to the council discussion, I never recall that there was a no U-turn or a no left turn sign there prior to the one going up. If there was, I violated it probably 100 times, and I wouldn't have done that if there was a sign there. Secondly, looking at the staff report and the photograph, you see a BMW there. It looks like a BMW coming out of what I guess we're calling the commercial parking area in front of Taco Roco. I just drove this. There is a sign that prohibits turning left out of that commercial parking area. So you would not be able, that BMW technically would not be able to cross the street and go make a left turn if I'm reading everything correctly, or a U-turn. You have to go straight out of there up to the Flying Flags intersection and then make your U-turning movement. So that should not be a conflict with anybody that's in the number one lane or as depicted by the other car making a turning move, or could make a turning movement into the medium. There is a intersection there, as you stated, at Zacchus Street, which you can go straight across. However, oncoming traffic has a right-of-way in that situation, southbound traffic, and anybody on Zacchus Street would have to wait until that traffic cleared the intersection to come across and come on out. The other thing I was going to talk to you about, obviously safety is everybody's concern, and I understand that. And your staff report says reduce crashes and their severity. Along with your Public Works Director, did not have enough time to contact the Sheriff's Department and find out how many crashes have there been there in the last, let's say, 5 years. I don't know, and I'm sure there are statistics on that, and if there was, were there injury, non-injury, and who violated the right-of-way, because it could be violated about 3 different ways there at that intersection. As far as conflicts, there are conflicts at that intersection, I agree with that, but driving prudently and paying attention to the rules of the road, you can make a safe turning movement there, as been demonstrated. I think there's more conflicts up at Avenue of Flags, because you have people turning right out, flying flags. So people turning right out of flying flags, people going across Avenue of Flags to turn left to go towards the river, towards the 101, or across to Shadow Hills. People coming out of Shadow Hills to turn left onto Avenue of Flags and go north towards 246. So I think there's many more conflicts there, and there's a lot more traffic at that intersection with the commercial use of the trailer park, RV park, than I think there is going in and out of that parking lot at Ellen's. So those are my comments. It kind of looks like I don't believe that there's that much of a conflict. However, if accident statistics and anything bore that out and that needed to be changed, then I'd be fully in agreement with that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, come on up.
Ben Runge, 546 Blue Blossom. The intersection, I have now observed that for almost a year and a half, I have never been at that intersection where there was not a no U-turn sign. But I see people violating it every day. When I come from Takaroku, I cut to the gas station, go to Saka, and turn left. That's legal, as far as I know. Okay? If there has been accidents, that's too bad, but I think we ought to keep the sign. It's only 400 feet to make a U-turn otherwise. And when you spend that much on gasoline, there's only going to be 3 or 4 cents and maybe a half a minute to make that. So I would vote for not removing it, if that's what somebody wants.
Thank you very much. All righty. I don't see any other public out there to speak, so I'll...
We can always have the police department.
I'm curious.
Camera down there.
Would it not be inappropriate, maybe ask her
I
to come up here?
think
and
that's
give
a
us safety
great... Do you have
briefing
any
on
information on that
Your
turn?
opinion?
Since I've been here.
Need to come to the
Yeah, please.
just don't shoot.
Since I've been assigned as the traffic officer for the city, I've taken one collision at the intersection. It was since the beginning of the year. It was non-injury, and it was someone who making a U-turn who violated the right-of-way.
And was rear-ended or...
Turned in front of someone, sideswiping them, and could have been a lot worse. But I know before the sign was in place that, to my knowledge, it was not enforced by the sheriff's office because there was no sign there, and the vehicle code would not allow for any violation if there was not a sign there. And since the sign's been in place, I haven't noticed a lot of people violating it, and I have not focused enforcement at that area because I haven't noticed or observed any problems or had any complaints since I've been here.
Okay. So one accident since the first of the year that you're aware of.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, I bring it back to council. What say you, gentlemen?
I have a couple of comments, I guess. I have quite a lot of experience in that area. And my first comment is, prior to the sign going up, I literally could not believe the number of people that make U-turns there. It is astonishing how every single time I go down that road, this is prior to the sign, people are making U-turns. In fact, I followed some of them just to figure out where they were going. I mean, it's that many people going to Ellen's. It was shocking.
Were they?
Most of them were, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot were just going back out to the road again. I don't know whether, again, I didn't stop people and survey them, but it really did catch my attention how many people were making U-turns there. And it was annoying when you're in that first lane as I'm progressing down towards Flying Flags. You know, you have to stop or try to go around them, and as you're making those movements, you do jeopardize safety in that area. There's no question there's a safety issue. But the point that came up at the Avenue or Flying Flags entrance there is that is a really busy intersection, and there are lots of near misses, and even an accident I'm aware of as recently as a week ago that occurred there, because it is a little bit confusing with people going left, people going right, and RVs in that pocket lane, and a lot of traffic in that pocket lane. So I can see why people want to make the U-turns prior to that. It's not the 450 feet, it's the amount of activity that's happening at that next intersection. But there is a pocket lane that does make it a lot safer, and so I'm not suggesting that we change anything. I just thought it might be interesting to give you a little bit of background on that area.
Thank you. How hard would it be to create a pocket lane?
It would be quite a bit of cost because we have that Buellton monument in that median. We'd have to relocate that. It's, different structural improvements. It's not a simple and inexpensive fix. You're probably looking at maybe ballpark estimate, 100,000, because you're looking at pavement, curbing, gutter, relocating the monument sign.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Any comments? Alrighty. Then what is the recommendation? Do we leave it as it is then? Basically, City Council discussed safety requirements of this intersection and reaffirmed the no U left turn signage is placed. Are we all in agreement with that? For now?
Wouldn't want to be the person to say, take the sign down and see somebody get hurt there, so I'm totally in agreement with that.
That's right, and I think staff has made it crystal clear that this protects the city from having perhaps major negligent liability by taking the sign down.
Honestly, I've seen a lot of close calls too. It is scary when somebody stops. I usually get in the right lane because I'm going through, but watching, it's kind of a circus in the left lane. So, yeah. All righty.
If
Then,
people cannot see the sign, put two on a taller post. I've seen that done in San Jose.
maybe that's, if we're still having a problem, maybe that's something the city should look at.
I actually meant to make that one other comment, is that since the sign went up, I far fewer, very few people are making the turn there now that they know it. I think before that, people just didn't realize it wasn't allowed. So I'm sure it happens, but I haven't seen it nearly as much.
But I do believe rather than two signs, 1.5 times would be more effective, I think.
A larger sign, maybe?
Instead of two, but something bigger, because it's very new now. It's nice and clean and isn't faded, but if it's possible to put a bigger sign up.
I think aren't they standard signs? Aren't they like?
It's a
street signs all
standard sign.
Pretty
It is
reasonable.
pretty standard. We can request a bigger one if you feel that it's necessary. We haven't. If people have been complaining that they're there, they're clearly
Obviously,
seeing
people
it.
have seen it. That's why we're talking about it.
All righty, then we leave things as it is right now. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Moving on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The State of the City presentations, both mine and Mayor Sierra's, are online on our webpage, so you can take a look at the PowerPoints from both of our presentations. The Council requested us to have video of the actual PowerPoints and look at that, and we can do that through a computer and software without a second camera for about $1,000. So staff is just going to go ahead and take care of that. So it wouldn't be a second camera, it would just be software with a dedicated laptop that would stream into that system, and you hit a button, and that'll show up on your screen while the PowerPoint's going on. And then once that's over, it'll go back to the live view of everybody. A nice, a good cost-effective method to get that in.
And then they can pause it to digest what's on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
imagining.
What would pause the stream?
Yeah,
Right, they would pause the stream.
Pause the stream.
Right.
Yeah, pause the stream. Yeah. Not the live, the replay, the archive.
Oh, yeah, the archive.
Yeah,
It'll be in the
so
archive.
that'll always be up. So we thought that was good cost-effective, so we'll go ahead and get that implemented. So.
Well, thank you.
And last storm, no damage as opposed to the previous storm, so nothing. We did get the dirt in the usual area, and we have sent a letter to the adjoining property owner up in the hills about the dirt that they keep letting come into the city. So the county really needs to be addressing that in the regional board since it's not in our jurisdiction, but we went ahead and sent a letter to address that.
Do they pay for the cost of
No.
us cleaning it up?
No, we're trying to get them to stop the dirt, with various erosion control measures at this point.
Okay.
Now, but while you're speaking of that, then the collection basin where the tractor sits idle
Right.
a long time, is that carved out as county property?
That's county, and they maintain that, and that's regularly cleaned, but it's the dirt that comes from above in the farm fields that is causing the problem, not the stuff from the county basins. So we're trying to work with the county to get them to do enforcement of their regulations up in the hills.
Do you think there's any way they could build like could maybe make a barrier? I mean, I was watching it, and I thought maybe just trapping the mud or.
I don't know what that was.
There's going to be a lesson right now.
I think those are the caps.
Yeah.
You throw a cap, you're going to get the sheriff.
So anyway, we're
But
Not a good place to do it.
that, because I see one of the house there on the corner, the wall finally has come down now. It's been listing for 7 or 8 years, and now it's completely separated. So that could be, I mean, that house sits up in the air, and if another storm comes through, that could erode the foundation of the house. But I don't know. I know it's the private property, but it just seems like someone ought to make it clear to the owner. That'll be a mess.
It's one around one of the houses around the basin.
It's right there at the corner. It's
Okay.
Lapida.
Okay,
It's coming off of Leilata, and it's as soon as you turn left. It's before you get to. There's one house, and then the collection basin.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, staff will take a look at it, and
You'll see the walls.
Okay.
Thank you.
Seem pretty exposed.
we're getting the RFP out for the primary auditor, because we're going to get a new auditor, because you have to do that every so often. So that's ready to go out, and we're finishing up the RFP for the private project audit, and we'll get that out. And upcoming agendas, we're going to have the code enforcement item, we're going to have the emergency preparedness, and then the limited parking in front of Ellen's. So those are on the March agendas.
And I was trying to recall, was it did he request 3 hour?
3 hour, yes.
2 to 3 hours.
Could we make it 2?
Yes.
We could do whatever. We'll have the various options when we come back. It doesn't have to be 3. It can be any hour.
Okay, so that's flexible.
Yes.
Without.
And that ends my report.
On that topic, so when the gentleman came up, we're talking about the Ellens, right?
Yeah.
When the gentleman came up, right, there were a lot of questions as to the genesis of his problem. Are those also going to be presented in the staff report?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Thank you very much, Mr. Beardzinski. We're going to adjourn to a closed session. Mr. McEwen?
Yes, we have a conference with real property negotiators under Government Code Section 54956.8. This relates to the properties at 480 Central Avenue and 495 Avenue of Flag. And the purpose of the closed session is to discuss possible acquisition terms and price.
Thank you very much. All righty.